how AI is redefining, changing, reshaping leadership.
I thought to myself, that's something new. It is so easy to understand and get results from technology. This will make the way we work.
How can we thrive as human leaders in this new AI era? What become obsolete?
You now have to be even better leader than before. If you have the fundamentals right, so you know how important it is to communicate, you know that you need to give the right information in order to trust information, you know how to check and verify, can produce even better results. The more adaptation of technology goes forward, the less average we should be.
Utilize our human uniqueness and how you think exponentially.
Because
Welcome back to another episode of Extraordinary Leadership Podcast. I'm Dagmara Asbreuk, founder of Extraordinary Leadership and transformational executive partner to CEOs and executives, and architect of a new human evolving leadership paradigm. Now, AI is accelerating and developing very fast. And probably you are also asking yourself a question: how AI is redefining, changing, reshaping leadership and organizations and organization development. What needs to change? How can we thrive as human leaders in this new AI era? What become obsolete? And so it is very important that we actually talk about it. And I wanted to focus this episode on answering those questions, but not only by myself. I brought someone who is very close to that work. I wanted to have this conversation with someone who is actually shaping the future of organizational development with human and AI. So I have a pleasure to have with me today Tania Tasopoulou, who is the CEO and founder of ORC Design Ways, an organization that is doing exactly that is focusing on shaping the future of organizational development with human and AI. And Tanya brings over 25 years of experience in organizational development and business, having worked across Europe and GCC in large organizations such as Coca-Cola, such as Korn Ferry, but also such as King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. And so I'm super excited about this conversation because it really matters. And I'm welcoming you, dear Tanya, in this podcast studio with me.
thank you, Dagmara. It's a great pleasure being here. And thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much. So I know I have so many questions about this topic, And so let's start. And I have the first one, which has been on my tongue. So what is the most fascinating you in this AI development and, that brought you in actually starting your own business?
You know what? How easy it was. Because throughout my career, as you said, it spreads across different countries and different roles. Every time in any of my organization, we had what was called a digital transformation. My heart sank because it meant hours and hours in meeting rooms trying to design things according to the technology. It was so difficult to make it work. And then around beginning of 2023, ChatGPT came up and I was working somewhere and I started playing with it and it was so easy. I thought to myself, that's something new. It is so easy to understand and get results from technology that this will make the way we work. And I remember at that time, time passes, I moved to Dubai, I was in Saudi, I moved to Dubai and I got really excited about this new technology. And I started reading about it because I am a psychologist, no technological background, playing with it and understood that I can create something without being an IT person. And that opened up my mind and I started questioning how much time do we gain by using this so easily working technology. Being in the area of organizational design and how you design jobs and what will be the impact on the jobs, on all the changes that are happening around the world, I started questioning exactly that. Will this new technology reshape the jobs themselves? And I wanted to do a PhD actually on the topic, but then I decided to build my own software to answer this question. It's a research question. So then I created my company. Thus, the reason that I started was how easy it was. And I think this is the thing that shapes people's desire to use it, because it can improve quickly how you present yourself. Okay, in your written or, asking questions, gathering information very quickly and all that. So this is how I got in. And I remember at that time, I was I was super excited. I was doing all these courses. And when I was talking to all my friends who are in technology, deeply in the technology, and I was telling them, guys, this will actually change the way we work. They were like, oh, come on, Tanya, this AI exists for decades now. Nothing will change. It's just another hype. And I was telling them, guys, you are in the technology sector. You don't understand how difficult for people like me is to use technology. And now it's easy. And if I feel like that, many other people will feel like that. And this will change. And of course, they were wrong. I was right. It shows now. So many people are using it, create new products with it. It even gave them what I like. The technology evolves. It's not the things that people say will not happen. We're not there yet. But the fact that many people like me saw an opportunity to do things that were not feasible before created space for new ideas, for experimentation. And I think this will shape the market. So this is a long answer to your question.
No, but very natural and, interesting as well. What really brought you into exploring is the easiness.
Yeah.
And I guess speed of getting to certain information and co-creation.
And understanding it.
Yeah.
You don't have to push that button so that the action can happen and then push that button and no, you push the wrong button, go back again. So, no, easy.
And you ask yourself one important question. Please remind me what it is. How is that going to reshape
the jobs?
Yes.
How
what did you find out on this question?
Let's say that your job is, to create newsletters for a company. You're working in the communication department of a company. And a newsletter is nothing more than collecting information for things that are happening and put them in a nice way and present them. Previously, that may take someone a couple of days to put it together, make it beautiful, and send it. Now, an hour. Correct? So that was the question. Okay, if someone has a job that is creating newsletters, I'm just giving a very simplistic example, and they use, a week per newsletter, and now they can have 5 in a day. What is happening to this job? How does it expand? Is it recreated? Does it disappear? Does it merge with another job? So, where does this time go? And that was the question. And if you look at the organizations, from a helicopter view, people usually say, we don't need all these jobs. No, you do need the people doing the jobs, but maybe you need different jobs. And how do you design the new jobs in light of this technology so that the technology benefits you? And usually the gains are from the future, meaning maybe you want to grow towards a new direction. Is that the technology, the usual thing you would do 5 years ago was to hire a bunch of new people, hire a consultancy, hire something to support you. Now you have the opportunity to reduce this cost by redesigning what you have already and combine it with technology. So this is a completely different way of thinking. Doesn't exist. I mean, the few people who are very close to technology think like that. Overall, I don't think everyone understands that this can be a big change on the way we operate as businesses.
That's a similar observation that I'm seeing, right? And I'm actually noticing that there is, especially I think, quite a lot of changes, a speed of changes that are also coming, especially this year with Agentic AI, right?
Yes, it's been agents, here for a couple of, but they become more powerful. Yeah.
And also that the fact that AI is going to learn by itself, right? And develop by itself.
Already,
so that is speeding up everything. And everybody's talking about this wave of 3 to 5 years. And this year is massive change. So what is really going on? And how can we prepare for that speed of change?
Well,
I know, it's a big question.
It is a big question. Okay, so there is my line of work. I am designing the products that are using generative AI, and we are actually building AI agents, multi-agents that collaborate and can answer your questions. So this is the product development side, and there, I'm working with people who are in the technology. We have to study a lot, and you feel like, oh my God, the change is massive. So that's one side of my job. The other side of my job is the actual consulting services on how you design organizations, what are the changes that are happening, etc. And what I'm experiencing in real life in the organization oh my God, they are so far away from the excitement because it's all about change. In reality, maybe, I don't know, in Silicon Valley things are different, but in reality, in 3 markets that I'm working closely, so here in the region and also in some markets in some countries in Europe, people, they don't exploit, let's say, the technology. They're not there. The many companies that I see, they talk about, again, digital transformation, getting the AI expert that will tell. All this is change. So if at the corporate level you want to make a change, it's difficult. And if people don't use it, yes. So if people don't use it, then you have nothing.
Yeah.
So yes, it will change when people start adapting it. Until then, nothing will change. What will change, though, I believe in the market, not the companies themselves, is the fact that people like me will start appearing. And it creates space for anyone to explore ideas. And this creates businesses and creates hubs of work that can happen. In the future, this will shape the market in a different way. Big corporations are always like big elephants. It takes forever to move. When they move and start running, they run very fast, like the elephants, by the way. But smaller mammals, the mammals and the dinosaurs, the mammals will evolve much faster. So, yeah, I think this is the change. The adaptation in the organization, as I said, is like any change management project. It can be slow. It can be fast, depending on the appetite of the people. Because at the end of the day, if you don't use it, it's like non-existent.
Yeah. So it's directly linked with the human.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So it's directly linked with the human resistance to change and attachment to old ways and familiarities.
Yes. I mean, I've heard so many things the last, I'm very passionate about this and the change. However, I'm very always surprised with people that I know and I respect, and they say, no, I will never use AI. And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, why not? What do you mean? Are you resisting something? You're resisting your own...
Usually fear, right? Yeah.
I've heard it from people like, they're smart people. What do you mean you are not using it? It's like, you have Google and you don't Google anything. You go to the library in your neighborhood and start looking for information. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think that leaders I think what I'm hearing and kind of the picture I'm having and where I'm coming from, because of course I've been 15 years in the corporate world, you also in big corporations, but I'm now closer to the smaller businesses world as a founder myself. And I think there are those two different worlds a bit. So I totally hear, and from experience, we know the speed is different. And obviously because it's easier to start a business accelerated by AI, that is going also, in my opinion, to challenge the speed of the change of huge corporations, because at some moment there will be a competitiveness and finance and bottom line issues, right? And how we stay relevant on the market when others are faster. So I think that is going to bring a pressure. And for sure there are this array of leaders and organizations, those that are in resistance, as you described, and any change goes through that phase, and those that are already in far advanced embracing of it and thinking forward. And then there is the middle.
Exactly.
From my perspective, it's not anymore the question like, do we need to use AI, but how can I embrace AI, and how can I, and where as a human do I need to, focus more on, so that I stay relevant, so that I am bringing the best, and so that we combine the efficiency with the human intelligence as well.
Exactly.
Kind of. So what would you say to those leaders who might be still skeptical and maybe listening here, or have some people in their organization that are skeptical, right? Themselves be very, attuned to that. What would you say to those people?
Let me go a step behind. If we're talking about leadership, the key leadership skills that make someone a great leader and someone not so great leader remain the same, right? And usually someone who is a good leader is curious, wants to understand what is happening, because there may be opportunities there that can be pursued. I would say that if you want to be a good leader, you need to be curious and you need to understand. So this is where you start. Because when you understand, you can also see the limitations of something. If you believe that, for example, which I also heard, you will bring this, whatever AI, someone is selling you a big idea that doesn't actually exist. You need to understand the limitations, whether someone is saying something that is true, or maybe you should check it first before you buy or before you embrace something. So I think curiosity and understanding are key for a good leader. So I would say, open up your mind and be the best you can be and start understanding what is there.
Absolutely. It's so much related also with awareness. I mean, of course, awareness can be multidimensionally understood, but awareness is a foundation of great leadership, and curiosity is absolutely key. And the more you are aware of, the more it's better for your decision taking, right?
Exactly.
So that's definitely it. And what also comes to me to ask you is, apart from those potential skepticism still and a speed and will I need to use it, which might be there, what do you see are other misconceptions maybe or misunderstandings as well from leaders that you work with or organizations that you work with around this topic of embedding AI in organizations?
Because it's a very new field, generative AI is a very new field, and there are many risks related to it. I don't believe that people understand the risks. Believing that in these days, your organization, even if they have a solution that is pushed to the, usually Copilot, pushed to the whole organization, you use only this AI, nothing else. People are using it on their phones, okay? So instead of thinking that everything is resolved because as an organization you have selected X and it is secured and no information from your organization is going anywhere. The truth of the matter is, if you have thousands of employees, some of them are using something because it's easy, it's accessible, and they don't have to get any permission to use something on their phone. Do they know what they can and cannot share? If you realize the risk, you can educate the people. If you're just hiding your head in the sand, maybe you are running risks as an organization. So for me, that's something that people need to realize. The other thing is that I don't think we understand yet, and actually I'm leading a group on AI in business psychology. I don't think we understand yet what are the implications on the employees themselves if they do something wrong. We don't have guidelines. Usually the companies do have policies and procedures on, code of conduct. If you do this, this will happen to you. But on this area where someone may use something that is different than the corporate directive, are there implications? I don't know. Should they be? And if yes, what should they be? So there are questions like that evolve in the organizations. And because usually the people who are in the big corporations, the people who are dealing with AI and AI implementation are on the technical side. And usually the people on the human resources or employee side are sitting somewhere else, oblivious of what's happening. And in many cases, there is no synergy. There is, the chance that you may have misalignment of policies, collaboration protocols, and things like that. So I think these are risks that are emerging, and not everyone understands it yet, but they will become obvious when the technology becomes more and more and more adapted in organizations.
So what I'm hearing is also there needs to be more united focus and collaboration on shaping those protocols and processes and boundaries, as well as organization, of course, as any other regulation. And interesting that you see that there are gaps into this process currently actually in organization.
Because again, it is, what I've seen is that it is treated like any other IT project in many organizations, and it's not. It has, previously you bring a new ERP, the processes just adapt to the ERP. Nothing is changing on the risk side. Now, you have a technology that is not limited in the ERP that you brought in. It's bigger. So how do you treat something that is similar and bigger and accessible in ways that you have no control? I don't know.
So that's area of, And what also comes to me to ask is, one thing is the regulation, another thing is embracing it, another thing is being curious, as you mentioned. Let's look at the mindset side and let's look at what actually we're dealing with. As you just mentioned, it's not just an ERP system. Everybody's aware of that. So how should we treat that AI? And especially maybe you can bring it to the context of your work in organization design. I know that, and where the future is heading, because I think we'll be very soon operating and already are operating not only with AI, but AI agents, right? And how do we treat those? It's shifting.
So I think that, again, in the future, not in a year's time, not in 2 years' time, we will have teams that are a combination of humans and technology. So you may have a department where you have your humans and you have a team of AI agents doing part of the work that needs to happen. So how do you lead this team? I did think a lot about it through the years when I grasped the concept, and I really love the concept and what are the implications on the way we measure jobs, the value of the jobs and all that. I ended up in the conclusion that if you are a good leader, you can lead mixed teams. Because how an agentic team works very similarly to a human team. If you give good directions, clarity, and all the information, a team can produce results. It is exactly the same, humans or technology. If you give unclear requests, half of the information, regardless of the power of technology, you're going to get wrong results. The same with a team. You can have the best people, the brightest. If you just don't give them information, clarity, they cannot produce, or they produce whatever they think is the right thing, exactly the same thing that generative AI is doing. So you go back to the fundamentals of human behavior. I think that a change on the leadership is that you now have to be even better leader than before, because you're not only interacting with a creature that you know from your birth, okay? You're now a human. You know,
there's some similarities with that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you know how to interact with humans, better or worse. You've learned that. Now you need to interact with technology, new technology. So how do you approach it? And if you have the fundamentals right, so you know how important it is to communicate, you know that you need to give the right information in order to trust the information, you know how to check and verify. These are needed for both. And the people who are very good leaders and produce results through humans can produce even better results with a combination. So I think it will push us further.
I absolutely love what you brought, because you brought a perspective of diversity.
Yes.
Right? How do we lead diversity?
Yes, exactly.
Just this aspect in our team is a bit different, and we need to learn, like other generation,
Exactly.
right? How it operates. Not to mention, I think that from my viewpoint, that is also shifting some way of work, some thinking, some mindset of how we go about it, and might bring a completely new lens. So, but that's also what it goes about embracing diversity,
Exactly.
right? And understanding how that it operates. And I think I love what you mentioned the second is, and I think also that is actually what's going to define more, or what will be more sharpened, not defined, but sharpened. And the great leadership will be in demand much more. And great leadership, and as you say, obviously fundamentals are centuries, what defines a great leader. But it will be now more into how we utilize our emotional intelligence, how we communicate, how we build trust, how we actually utilize our human uniqueness as well. So those leaders that maybe were more relying on IQ, less on EQ as an example, will now need to catch up, right?
Exactly.
Or evolve in order to actually be able to cope with that complexity, because quite a lot of other stuff will be outsourced or faster done in order to the organization move forward. So I like what you bring it, because I share that viewpoint. And that is why, of course, I'm so fascinated as well about the area of my work, because it's directly around evolving or helping leaders to evolve with this new complexity. And I see a very similar direction. On human skills and also human mastery. How do you master yourself, your state, who you are, how do you make an impact? So, and how you think exponentially as well, because that will be challenged
Exactly.
more and more. Tanya, do you believe that AI evolution is a risk to leaders losing their jobs to some extent?
No, because leading, unless everything becomes technology, you need to lead people at some point, and you need to take decisions. And at this point, the technology is not at any stage to take any decisions. And taking decisions is much more complex than just combining information. So I don't think in that sense that it will take anyone's job. What I do wholeheartedly believe, though, is the more adaptation of the technology in the workplace goes forward, the less average we should be. Because I will give you an example, a parallel example. I was thinking about that the other day. AI is used a lot in imagery in health, okay? So because it can combine very quickly information, etc. However, a good doctor and a great doctor can look at the same scan and give different results. One is false, one is true. Usually the good doctor is the one who says the truth, reading exactly the same information. This is the same with any profession. So the people who are great in what they do, they can amplify their work. And they will stay there forever because of the way they think, the viewpoint they bring to the table, the decisions they take. The people who are not pushing the boundaries, who are, okay, being a leader or non-leader, yes, I think these people are in jeopardy. Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's an important one that you just landed, actually. And that makes people reflect.
You need to be really good in the future. I mean, not now. I don't want to be, like, oh, I will take our jobs now. But you really need to be good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
More than ever.
Yeah. And I think that is, on the one side, the wisdom that, of course, you develop by partially experience and partially being curious to develop yourself and mastering the craft.
Exactly.
And here also that sense of, as you gave this example of health, right, which you will have exactly in every function. It's what I call, it's the inner wisdom and intuition. That's, again, the human element that is helping to discern, and consciousness, so awareness of a person, because at the end is an artificial intelligence, which of course many people say it will be smarter than any human in the world, which is one thing.
Maybe one day.
Well, many people talk about it, and the speed is like always hallucinating to hear. And on the other hand, it's the discernment, the capability to discern and actually be a kind of like above that, because otherwise you will fall into being led by the AI.
Exactly.
So you need to be in a higher position than the AI itself. Exactly. In terms of making a judgment, making an opinion, decisions, and so on.
I mean, that's something that I truly believe, and I was discussing with people who are in technology, and they believe the same. You know what is more important now for us to do is to read philosophy, psychology, educate ourselves on how we think, not on the information. Information is there, and it's you can very quickly, put it together now. But having the wisdom, how you create wisdom? Experience is one, but how you create wisdom in the younger generation where the experience is not there. I think by actually gaining knowledge on these topics, the topics that were in the back burner for many years, I believe now that they should be in the front. Read about the philosophers, start questioning, create these questions in your head. This is how, wisdom is built, just by asking questions. So I think that if you look at the organizations, one risk that I didn't mention is that because AI can do very easily now basic work, there is the danger that it's going to be very difficult, and we see it for graduates to enter the organization. So the organizations need to be very deliberate on how they bring young people in. But how do you educate them? Previously, it was more management, Now maybe we need to start thinking about more philosophical training, how you ask questions, learn about how people think. So put psychology in, which was not part of any graduate program. So, this will also change. Yeah.
Amazing. So what let me say, the 2-3 questions that listeners today, that you would invite them to start thinking of, because that's an important, what you also shared, building your awareness and thinking deeper, or actually developing that different way of thinking as well. So what kind of questions could be of value for leaders to start asking themselves right now?
The first one is, am I curious enough? And how do I learn a little bit more about this? The other thing is very difficult, actually. Am I as good as I think I am? And that has nothing to do with technology. It's an honest question.
Yeah.
What do other people say about me, and how can I become better? Because this will be my strength for the future. And the third one would be, how can I use this technology for the benefit of the organization? Because, we hear about all this, AI will take the jobs, etc. What is actually happening is not that it replaces jobs. What is happening in many organizations is that they have a definite budget and they want to put money to, an AI project that's started. Where will they cut the money? Usually from headcount. So it's not actually, it took their job, but the budget went somewhere else. So how can I balance that so that I don't create worry in the organization? I don't lose the good people. I don't lose the people who can push me forward by making decisions like that. So yeah, that would be the third person. How do I bring the technology in the organization without disrupting the good things that are there?
Amazing. I love these three questions because I see them like the third one is like the visionary, which is important in leadership, to be visionary, right? It means to be aware of what's the trends, what's the direction, and what's the possibilities, and then to be able to co-create with other leaders, what do we choose from there and how we're going to use that, and to keep that transparency.
I agree.
Because as you said, there are worries, yes. There are worries that people are having, let's be very honest. So that reduce that worry because the clarity and transparency reduce the worry, right? So communication is important. And as you said before, it starts with you to get, first of all, curious. And some people may be obsessed, some may be passionate about this topic because that drives the future forward in any area of life. So it cannot be just blindly pushed aside, right? Because at the end, it will either make or break your company to be a long-term or short-term, depend on the size.
Exactly.
So that's kind of one, the visionary aspect and the curiosity aspect. I love you bringing. The second one, a very valid point you mentioned, is to reevaluate where do I need to elevate. We don't need to call ourselves good, bad. We are humans. We always have imperfections. And actually the whole thing about, in my perspective of life and leadership, is growth, is continuous growth, right? And some grow incremental, some grow exponential, but it goes about progress and growth. That's how we are actually advancing in any area. And that's how we are feeling happy about ourselves, right? This is not from judgmental point of view, but again, I love the word curiosity and openness, right?
Yes.
And as you brought as well, this question of how am I perceived, or maybe where could I be doing something more or less or better, and asking these questions to others. So these questions are all around who you are as a leader, how you lead, how you're perceived, how you make an impact, so that it brings you input.
Exactly.
For your own reflection and for your prioritization of where do I need to strengthen and sharpen my soul, right? And the first question was about curiosity itself, right?
Yes.
Curiosity about the topic, and curiosity, what you brought earlier about thinking, right?
Depth of thinking.
Depth of thinking. Let's maybe for a moment still elaborate on that, because that is a big topic. How do we grasp, how do we embrace it, evolving our thinking?
By asking questions.
Well, you speak with the person that do like a lot of questions, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, so it's with asking questions, as humans, we like, when something is uncertain, we like to take the first information that makes sense to us and move on, because this is how you move through life. If you question the first answer and look a little bit further, it gets a bit uncomfortable. But if you do that, it opens up your mind, and then you take a risk, and then you go further and further and further, and it opens the way you think. So moving to this uncomfortable space is how you get depth. I think, okay, this is how I do it. Taking the risk to do something that you don't know. It's like you and I come from different places, okay? So the first time you moved to another country, it was much harder than when it was the second time, correct? So why? Because you adapted, your mind you grew, you had better questions to ask to the people, you knew better how to interact, so you grew through the risks you took. So this is how you grow your mindset. You just take a risk. You have an open mind. If you continue like that, nothing will change. But you go a risk. You ask a different question, a difficult question. You get an answer. You question the answer. And you go deeper and deeper in your thinking.
Yeah. So curiosity, reflection, and moving beyond discomfort.
Yes, I think so.
And probably asking yourself questions you've never asked before with a curious mind. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm hearing. Excellent. Tanya, how this whole work that you do with AI and your own, curiosity that brought you to what you do today, how that actually shaped you or evolved you?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Dagmara. Let me think. You know what? I think before, and I knew more than maybe I did know. It brought me back to how it is to learn something completely new. Which, as we grow older, we don't do it unless you do a completely different, subject in a university. You don't go towards that area. For me, the fact that I started learning about technology and maybe reading a little bit more technical things. Because as I said, my studies are all in business and psychology. Nothing to do with the science, okay? So understanding that you can do it and you can learn and you can follow courses and reading papers that you would never access before because you were not in that space. I think that helped me be more brave, maybe, and take chances and expand my learning. So yeah, I think this is how it shaped me. It gave me access to a new world.
Amazing. And I have one last question on that one, out of curiosity. Do you feel that embracing AI and utilizing its own intelligence and power, helping you probably also to expand your thinking, as you say, and questions and depth, has that also influenced you as a human? Has that somehow had an impact on you as a human?
Okay, first of all, let me say that I don't believe it's intelligence. It's more a very, very quick way to combine information. And I'm actually using my friends, as I say, because I use many generative AI tools in parallel, always. It's like having a team that you can brainstorm. So I'm starting an idea, and I bounce the idea with different my friends, and I come up maybe with a combination that I didn't think of. So I do use a lot in my job. Also, if I want to do a very quick search in research, academic papers, etc., on a topic, I can do it very fast. So it gives me a lot of time. How it shaped me, you know what? I think I discovered that many of the things that I thought they were meaningful, they are not, because now you can get information much faster. And I've learned to understand which are the meaningful things and where I add value. So where is my value? If something that I do and I offer can be done by a tool, then that's not my value. So I need to find my own value. And, it helped me understand my own value. And actually I had with a collaborator the other day on the tool that I'm building, said, can your tool help me with that? And I said, something? No, because you can do it on your own. And also what you are asking is actually proprietary information. You cannot find it anywhere. And no tool can break into companies' database unless you do something wrong. So, just get off your... you need to find another way to take this information. But I can give this advice because I know the limitations. And I can be honest about the value that my tool or myself bring in comparison with the technology that is out there. So I think this is how it shaped me, to think more about, what can I offer to this world?
Yeah, it ties back to so many points in this conversation. And I think the overarching is that's what I'm sensing, that's why I asked this question, that AI, to some extent, challenges us to become a better human.
Yes.
And better leaders, that's what you also mentioned. So beautiful. We're coming towards the end of our very, very inspiring time together, Tanya. And I do have a question, of course, towards how your product specifically, help organizations. So maybe a few words I would like to say about that as well.
Thank you. So the product that I'm building is actually Agentic. In organizations, not many people actually understand the depth of change that is happening when you make changes like redesigning departments, redesigning jobs. Most of the people think that this is easy, and they don't ask. They don't even think about asking. And many organizations don't have the expertise in-house, or they don't have the funds to bring the expertise from outside, and many things go wrong. So this is what we are building. We are building basically an agent that can give you answers on organizational design that can help you on the moment. You don't have to bring someone in, pay money, etc. You just have someone who knows your organization, because it takes the information from your organization, so understands your organization, and can give you relevant answers, not the answers that you can just get from ChatGPT. So this is what we're building, and basically bringing this expertise inside the organizations, because it is missing. And one of the things that I've seen in my whole career is teams and jobs and structures that make zero sense and make everybody miserable. So that's something that you could have avoided if someone gave you the right guidance at the right time. So this is what we're trying to do, to create your mini consultant. It won't be the best, but it will be better than nothing.
Wow. And I can see so much efficiency. And this is a very important topic for any organization.
Exactly. Efficiency
and
is
it takes a lot of time, normally
Yeah.
speaking. So it's cutting the time and also bringing another perspective.
Exactly.
Right? Which is for the decision makers then.
Relevant to
value
your
impact.
business, because another perspective you can take from everywhere, but relevant to what you want to achieve.
Amazing, amazing. So such a great stuff in the world that you are cooking, and I know that you are working very focused on it in these regions, especially GCC, and you mentioned also. Thank you very much, Tanya. There's so much that I think our listeners can take away from today. And the conversation AI could probably carry days, and they are seminars and so on. So I think that we captured the most important essence from this conversation. And is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners with as a last message from your side?
Learn. This is what I want to leave. Always learn. So try to be curious, as we said, and open up your mind to understand what can happen.
Amazing. And you are an embodiment of that. So thank you very much for sharing it. No, you are, because that's what brought you here. So thank you very much once again for today. And thank you, listeners, as well, for staying with us until the end. I think there are so much wisdom and golden nuggets, as we say, for reflection. What I'm taking away from this conversation is a reminder to stay curious and open and go through these challenging questions. And to focus, the second is to focus on becoming a better leader, which is aligned with what you want to be and who you want to be, isn't it, as a listener to this podcast? So that's a reassuring message. You don't need to change the course. Still keep on going to being your best version and go deeper. Thanks a lot, and see you next time.